Hello, and welcome to the HIV Interview in Conversation series with me, your host, Charity Kase. To mark World AIDS Day this year, I'm speaking to some incredible and inspiring people who have taken a part in the HIV Interview campaign. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Donald Turner.
Thanks, Charity. Really, thanks. I was looking forward to meeting you prior to this because I have so much to talk to you about.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you too. I've read your biography and I think you're very impressive. So it's an honor to get to chat to you.
Thank you. And I don't know how we get started. You know, for me anyway, it's about being HIV and disclosing and my journey.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You know, back in the day, I was telling people earlier that I used to be a female impersonator. And
wow.
Then I decided that's why I wanted to talk to you so much.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah. And it's about that journey of where do I fit in at? Who am I?
Yeah.
Then when I found out that, because I'm also Princess Royal 1 of Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Yeah.
So it's like having those titles and the events and whatnot, and just getting out there, supporting the community. But now being HIV positive, I'm able to work in the community in a different way. And I really believe that when people come together from different nations, especially on Turtle Island, this is the world, the globe.
Yeah.
We call it Turtle Island here. So I really feel that making that connection, having that face, having that voice is going to be able to help the people, next generations that come, next generations.
100%. It's all about representation, you know, it's all about representation. And so that brings me on to my first little question for you. Why did you take part in this series? Like, why did you decide to be a part of this series? I mean, I think I know the answer already, but
I just wanted a real face that could represent or speak of some people here in across the waters. Because like every time I pick up something or read something about HIV, the stigma, the discrimination, it's always in another country. It's really? Never actually here in our own hometown or our home country. I know that guy. Oh, I work with him. So I remember he used to do this. So that whole thing of actually having a face that represents the community at large. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, like, I mean, representation is the only way to go when, you know, if you look at the history of HIV and the AIDS crisis, like, I was born in 1996 and I know what the adverts were like. So that says something, you know, like the scaremongering that happened back then has really stuck with people. And without the representation of people living happy, healthy lives today, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
And so, like, what do you think is one of the biggest misrepresentations of people living with HIV, like in the media today?
Oh, wow. Because I walk two cultures. I walk the Black culture and I also walk the Indigenous culture.
Yeah.
So I have two lenses that I work from. There's a lot of, I really think it went backwards rather than forward. I really do. And why I say that is because we as frontline workers or pioneers or champions try to have a voice, but we kept getting knocked down every step of the way.
Yeah.
So we had to learn that academic language in order to say, oh, this is what this means. This is what this means. When you say family, we have our drag family. We have our regular family we're born into.
Yeah.
We have our bar family. We have our work family. So when to disclose and how to disclose to them is one thing. I'm finding that a lot of our people, or a lot of people, are afraid or ashamed to stand up and say, I'm HIV positive, and there's bullying in there, there's suicide in there, mental health issues. A lot of us have mental health issues before we even got HIV.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in a straight world. It's bound to happen. But
it does. And then to answer that, I really believe that it hasn't really changed much. A little bit more education, and I really believe that since the government has stopped supporting support, a lot of our people started going back underground. They started going back, they're having really unprotected sex. They're getting involved in issues they never got involved with before. But yet you have us champions who address HIV through their entertainment. They address HIV by holding HIV education coffee house discussions, or like a living room discussions. But yet it's hidden. It's not put back out in the country, out in front of the community anymore, like it used to be. And I really think they need to get back into educating people, young people. HIV is because those are the ones who are going to be the champions and the educators and the doctors and the lawyers down the road.
I mean, I always say that the most shocking and prevalent feeling for me when I got diagnosed positive when I was 18 was this sense of like anguish because I had been in any way prejudiced beforehand, because I was just so uneducated around it. I didn't even really know what it was. And I was 18 years old. That's not excusable. Like, I should have been taught about it. And the sense of regret for unchecking that box on social media dating apps that I felt was more painful than anything I felt afterwards, So I think that, like you say, it's about education. Over here, I don't remember having, maybe it was mentioned a couple of sentences in sex ed class once, but I didn't even have much, if any, gay sex education, never mind about HIV. Not that HIV is always gay related in any way. And that's another great big misrepresentation in the media, is that HIV is a gay virus,
Right.
There's so many misrepresentations in the media. Another one that's a great big one is that it's a men's only disease. That's a massive misrepresentation. There's only a couple of us, and we're cis white gay men that are talking about it in the media. There's only a few of us, and that's the issue.
Well, I agree, because it is no longer a gay white man's issue.
No,
what it is, it's a universal issue. It's an issue that I believe, Charity, is that we as a community, I've been positive over 30 years. I have never had an opportunist infection. I've never been hospitalized. And for me to live, and again, like what I said earlier, living in two cultures, I was not eligible for trials. Because I didn't know about them. For me to get support, I had to leave my country to go to another country to get the up-to-date information about HIV, about viral loads, about different testing, about whatever. So the whole idea is like, I had to learn in another country, get the information that was accurate and bring it back to my community. And then when I did ceremonies in a way where I was able to share with people in that TP or in that sweat lodge about my fear, my sadness that I was going through, and being authentic and not have to censor what I said and how I said it. And getting the community to start listening, but it took one champion in order to make others. Like I'm a very strong advocate. I had to learn that academic language. I was a social worker before I got this. And now I work in a different field, but helping men's wellness, anybody who identifies as a male, even if they're a transgender, they're more than welcome to be part of this group. And we talk about HIV. We talk about STDBIs. We talk about being co-infected. And what does that look like? What's the hurdles you're going through? Have you disclosed? When's the right time to go on treatment? There's one pill ain't making it. But the idea is you had to have a number of us who were pioneers back in the day for these medication in order to help people where they're at today.
100%.
And let them know that you can't go out there P no more. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Educate, and set up youth groups, set up seniors groups, because a lot of us are aging.
Yeah. I mean, it's, the issue is so prevalent, and in my opinion, from my experience, the issue is so much worse. The stigma is so much worse than the actual virus itself. Like the trauma that I've experienced from being diagnosed has all come from the stigma. None of it has actually come from the actual experience of having the virus. So I think, that says a massive amount about the problematic stigma that's out there. One thing that stands out to me in current circumstances with the stigma, when people are like, oh, really? There's not that much stigma. There's 2 points that I reply to them with. One of them is that when I got diagnosed, I spoke to a family member who told me, I told you to be careful. That was the response. And that's, I can understand where she's coming from, but that stigma, there's a lot of stigma involved in that statement. And another one is that a lot of people on social media dating apps have clean in their description. Now that is really, really problematic and really hurtful. Like, I mean, I don't even need to explain it. It's just obvious. And you've done amazing things for our community, and I can't thank you enough for doing what you did. It's not an easy thing to do, and nobody would have expected it of you. So, I mean, you're an icon.
Well, thank you. I like that. That made me feel good. Charity, one of the things, like I said earlier, is like I've been to 4 different national conferences and the international in different countries. And why I chose to be a delegate at some of these events was I wanted to learn what it was like from different communities, different cultures. How did they handle HIV? How did they roll out U equals U?
Yeah.
How was it successful?
Right.
How was it to prep? How was it to do this? Now, how can I take this information that I've learned at international conferences and bring it back and integrate it and teach it within my own community?
Yeah.
Because I have to do that without the emotional attachment, because I do tend to be sensitive on certain issues, because nobody wants to die. No. Nobody wants to suffer in silence. Too many of our people have suffered in silence in the past. And I really believe by me participating in national, international events helps me be a stronger champion to come back home in my own country and share that information I've learned rather than keeping it. How does the transgender community deal with HIV? Yeah. How does men having sex with men deal with HIV? How do our youth today deal with HIV? If I learned how they did it over there, I can bring it over here.
100%. It's all about sharing of knowledge, and that's so admirable of you, because there's so many people still suffering with HIV all around the world today who aren't even diagnosed, and we're never going to get anywhere unless we listen to each other and we have conversations and discussions like we're having today.
Well, I think it's important because, like, if I was in your country and I see him perform, I would have been, oh, that girl got my dress on. No, I should be doing that number. Oh, I've done it. I swear, I've done it.
Thank you very, very much.
I'm a limb loss.
You're very sweet. I really appreciate it.
Losing my limbs, being HIV positive, having different health issues.
Yeah.
It's not just the HIV. It is about the education. It's about the awareness, and it's about having the proper medical healthcare team possible. Every one of my doctors know what the other one's doing or what the other one's suggesting. And I'm able to have open dialogue about my HIV status, no matter where I go.
Yes, me too. I make sure of that. I think that's necessary. I mean, not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Some people don't feel comfortable. That's absolutely fine. But I think, it's important that there's some of us in that role. And yeah, I think that's something that we both should be very proud of.
Now, like Charity, I don't know if you've experienced it, but when I went to the hospital one time, my partner was with me, and I had a medication overload. And they took me to the hospital. They thought I was on opiates. I don't do opiates.
Wow.
And so what ended up happening was the doctor said, how did you get it? And my partner looked and said, what? What did you say? I mean, went off like a pistol. And I said, oh, relax, man, relax. But the question should have been, have I ever been an ID drug user?
Yeah.
Which was more appropriate than how did you get it?
Yeah.
How I got it is irrelevant.
100%.
I have it.
And again, that's misrepresentations fueling stigma prejudices.
Big time.
So there's so many like big world prejudices that are involved with HIV, misogyny, racism, homophobia, and they all tie into the stigma. So yeah, it takes us all chatting to fight it and work together.
And it's this kind of platform.
It is.
I really think is valuable, not just to you and I, because now I feel like I have a kinship with you.
Yes, we definitely do. Anytime you want to see a show, you're always on my guest list.
and I really believe that kinship developed. And then by this kind of forming a relationship, helps other people see around the world how that can happen, and happen in a good way and be very authentic. And we're both real.
Yes, and how our real life experiences can be relatable and inspiring,
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give you a massive thank you for talking to me today. I really appreciate all of it.
Oh, I appreciate it. I just wish I had longer.
So wonderful to get to know you. I'm sure we'll have longer. I've got your email address. Don't you worry. You'll be here.
Oh, that's fine. You won't be able
to get rid of me. But yes, thank you very, very much. Thank you, Donald, for joining us today. And I'm going to put out a call of action to every single one of you watching here. Join us in changing the way the world views HIV. Use your voice, talk to your friends, and educate yourself a little this World AIDS Day. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.